If you clicked on this video today, you might be ready to learn how you can get out of debt in 2024. We are in April now, guys, so we still got enough time to get this ball rolling. So that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to tell you some of the steps that I did to get out of my debt back in 2017, and I can help you get out of yours. So make sure you come back. It's going to be a good one. Welcome or welcome back to Starr Knows Credit. My name is Starr Carter, and on this channel I talk personal financial education. If that sounds like something that you are interested in, please consider being a subscriber. Make sure you guys are cutting on the notification, that way you don't miss out on any new content, and give this video a thumbs up, that way it gets pushed out to more viewers that might need to see this content as well. Thank you so much again, and I do appreciate all the love. So let's go ahead and let's get into today's video. You may have seen my previous videos where I talk about my struggles with debt from the time I was 18 all the way up till I was 38 years old, when I made the decision to finally change my life and secure my financial future. And maybe that's the reason why you clicked on this video, because you are ready now to take the same steps that I took. And so I am here to help you on your journey. So let's get started. So the first step, and one of the most important steps to me, is now it's time to face it. Now you're acknowledging that you need to get control of this, that it has finally gotten out of control and you need help. That is the acknowledgement. As I love to tell you guys, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So you just clicking on this video, knowing that you have a debt issue, is the very first step to positive change when you're talking about your financial peace and your financial freedom. It's just facing the issue and saying, hey, I am tired. I'm drawing my line in the sand, and I'm making my declaration today to never be broke again, to never live paycheck to paycheck again, and to never have this much debt ever again. And if I do have debt, it's going to be something positive, like maybe buying a home, and not something that is depreciating assets, that's not making me money, that is not bringing me peace, that is not bringing me joy. So this is the first step. It's just acknowledging it. So we can't just acknowledge it without any work. So we have to do the work. So the next step that I recommend is stop using credit. Okay, you got to stop using credit. We got to cut them up. If you're not disciplined enough to not use your credit cards, time to cut those bad boys up, put them in a shredder, get rid of them. Because in order for you to get out of debt, you got to stop using your credit. So that means no more applying for credit cards, no more applying for personal loans, payday lending, any of those types of things. Your friend from now on is going to be cash. Cash is going to be king in your life going forward. So get used to using your cash, okay? So that means that if you don't have the money, that means that we're not going to resort to credit or any other type of things like Klarna, Afterpay, any of those things. Anything that has you borrowing time to pay it back, we're not using it. I don't care if it's 0% interest. I don't care. We're not using it, okay? If you don't have the cash, we're not using it, all right? Going forward, this is the only way that you can break the cycle of debt. You got to use the money that you already have, okay? Especially until you get disciplined enough like I have, where you can use your credit cards in the future or use credit and it not affect your financial peace, okay? So we got to get to the habit where we're not looking at credit for our everyday purchases anymore, okay? The third thing after acknowledging it and no longer using credit is to write it down, okay? You got to look at the bare numbers. You got to look at what is the damage. So I want you just to get a basic notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could be one of those little dollar notebooks that you get at the Dollar Tree or somewhere like that, or you may have an extra notebook from one of your kids or something, but you just need some type of spiral notebook that has some lines where you can write down all of your debts. And when you write down all the debts that you owe, I want you to also, beside it, write down what the payment amounts is. And if they're credit cards, I want you to write down what the minimum payment amount is. So that means you're going to have to get out those statements. Okay, y'all may not even look at your statements, but you're gonna have to get out those statements and find out what those minimums are, what those current balances are as of the day that you look at this video. It's time to get started. So you're gonna write down what you owe, what the payment amount are, and I also want you to write down what the interest rate is. I want you to see what type of money that you are throwing away in interest on these debts. So let's write down what the interest amount is for each one. If you have a statement, you should be able to see on the statement what the interest amounts are, okay? So check that out. And also, if you don't know what your interest rates are on your car loans and stuff like that, whenever you got your loan paperwork, it should be in those paperwork. If not, you may have to pull it up online or something like that, but you need to see the numbers, because people lie, numbers don't, okay? That's my motto. People lie, but numbers don't. So you got to acknowledge it also by actually looking at the numbers, all right? Once you look at the numbers, then you know what you can work with, right? So the next thing I want you to write down in your notebook, so this could be page 1 is your debts. The next thing I want you to write down in your notebook is all your monthly fixed expenses. Like if you pay rent or mortgage, your light bill, your cell phone bills, all your different bills, your groceries, your insurance, all the things that come out regardless of whatever on a monthly basis, okay? I want you to write all those fixed expenses down, and that way you can look at what you got going on when it comes to your debts versus your fixed expenses, okay? The things that you're gonna have even if you didn't have the debts, okay? And on the next page, I want you to write down all your sources of income, all right? You need to have it spelled out. Where do you get your income from? What is your income monthly? So that means whatever you get, if that's alimony, child support, your job, disability income, whatever it is, I don't care whatever it is. If it's an income that you get in on a regular basis, I want you to put that down in your income section, all right? For a lot of you guys, especially if you've been living above your means with your credit, your expenses may outweigh your income right now, okay? So we may have to do some different things to bridge the gap. But in order to even start tackling your debt, we got to look at all the numbers, right? So I don't want you to look at it as this big old mountain of debt and this little bitty hill of income. We have to look at everything to be, you know, in our best position to tackle the debt. Okay, and the only way to do that is really to look at the numbers. Now, once you have wrote everything down and you got the bare numbers down, you got your debts, what you owe, your credit card debts, car payments, student loans, whatever debts you got that on one paper, and then you got your expenses on another sheet of paper, and then you got your income on another piece of paper. So now what we want to do is we want to look at what is your smallest debt on the first sheet that's listed under your debts. What is the smallest debt that you have? Now, when I was trying to pay off my debt, if y'all saw my debt journey, my smallest debt was a $200 Old Navy credit card that I had maxed out forever and a day, right? So what I did was I paid that $200 card off first. Now, my minimum payment for that card was only $25 a month. But because I got paid every week and I was really and truly trying to be as aggressive as I could be, I started paying that card $25 every week instead of $25 a month. So I broke it down into little chunks. I was paying it more often, and therefore I was able to knock that balance out pretty fast. Now, this is what introduces you to the debt snowball effect, okay? Because what the debt snowball is when you take your smallest to your largest debt, and we're going to create a snowball. Just like when you're creating a snowman when it snows, we're going to do the same thing. So we start in small and eventually we're going to go big, right? So when I started with that $25 every week, putting it on that Old Navy card, eventually after I paid the Old Navy card off in a few weeks, I was able to take that same $25 a week and apply it to my next bill, which was my JCPenney bill. And it was like a $500 limit on that card. So I was able to take $25 that I was already using on the Old Navy, and the minimum payment on that card was another $25. So I took $25 plus the other $25 from the Old Navy card, and then I was paying $50 a week on the JCPenney card until I knocked it out. So you see how the snowball is growing? It went from 25 to 50, okay? So then after that, I had a $1,000 limit credit card with Capital One. So the minimum on that card was another $25. So that was 25 from Old Navy. Now that it's paid off. Another 25 that was from JCPenney that's now paid off. And another 25 minimum from the Capital One card. So now I'm putting $75 a week on this credit card until I paid it off. So you get the idea. You are creating a snowball, because once one is paid off, you're taking that payment and adding it to the next payment along with the minimum payment. And any extra, if you got any extra that you can throw on, do that. See, I didn't have any extra, so I was just taking the minimums and adding the first minimum to the second minimum to the third minimum until I was snowballing it along, right? So that's what you could do to get it going, especially if you don't have any extra income to throw any extra at the first smallest debt. But you want to attack it as aggressively as you can. And my aggressive move was paying it more often instead of paying it once a month. By me paying it every week, I saw results a lot faster. But if you get paid every 2 weeks, you may want to pay it every 2 weeks. So instead of the 25 every week like I was doing, you may do 25 every 2 weeks. So that'd still be $50 going to your smallest debt, especially if the minimum is only 25. That's still an extra 25 that's going to be able to go to the principal, because that's what we're trying to get to, guys. At the end of the day, we're trying to get to the principal. And a lot of times, especially on credit cards with the compounding interest, it may be harder for you to touch the principal. That's why you want to put a lot more above the minimum payment so that you can hit the principal. Okay, so you want to just continue to do that. Me, I had a lot of credit card debt, so that's what I was doing. And then eventually I did hit my car, but my car payment was at the time it was like $100 and something. So once I paid off those smaller credit cards, I was able to then snowball it in. And because that was my second time refinancing my Jeep, so it was like only for like $4,000 at that point. So it was a smaller payment, but I was still able to snowball it in once I got those other credit cards paid off. And then it took me like a matter of weeks to pay off my Jeep, because I had a big payment going in at a time. You know, I think I was paying like eventually like $200 every week, because once I paid off those little credit cards that was eating me up with little $25 minimums, I was able to snowball it in, as I was saying. And you'll be surprised at how much money, once you start paying these things off and this thing gets some legs, how quick this snowball really can take off. And especially if you start getting like any type of side income, like a side hustle, you know, babysitting, dog walking, whatever it is. There's so many different things you could do. Start a YouTube channel, or start doing some type of content creation on TikTok and all these different things, especially if you love doing tutorials and all those type of stuff. There's so many ways now that you can make money outside of a 9-to-5 job that you guys can take advantage of, just like I do right now. Okay, so don't want you to think that you're hindered to just one income source. You got to think outside the box when it comes to this. Okay, and that point right there brings me to the next point, is you have to start building you a savings account. You need an emergency savings of at least $1,000, because what's going to stop you from going back into debt if you don't have a cushion somewhere? So while you are tackling your smallest debt, I want you to start saving some. So with your income and your expenses and looking at your debt inside of your notebook, you can see where you have some wiggle room. So you may have to cut out some subscriptions. You may have to cut out some of your DoorDash when you don't feel like cooking. You may have to start meal prepping your meals to start, you know, cut back eating out. You also can look at changing your cell phone providers. I have a link in the description for Mint Mobile if you want to check out Mint Mobile. I also did a video on ways that you can increase your emergency fund, so I have some tips on that. I will link that video above. But there's many ways that you can come up with an extra stream of income if your 9-to-5 job or whatever it is that you work is not, you know, giving you all the income you need to really and truly build your emergency savings as well as tackle your debt. But you got to get it done. No excuses on this, guys. You got to get it done, because if you don't have some money set aside, you're going to be right back into debt. And it's very, very easy to do. When I first started saving in my emergency fund, guys, I won't even lie to you guys, I was only putting $5 a week in my emergency fund. But eventually, once I started knocking out those debts and being aggressive, like I was saying, paying it every week, eventually I was able to save over $500 every pay period. Because the debt and the interest on those debts is what was eating up my money, right? So once I was eliminating those debts, eliminating all that interest, I was able to save more aggressively at the end of it. So that's what's going to happen with you. Your payments are going to be in a snowball, but eventually your savings will also be in a snowball. Then you'll be able to invest then you'll be able to have the financial peace that I want for you. But it doesn't matter what I want, you got to want it for yourself, okay? So those are my steps. Easy peasy. Some of the easiest things is the hardest things. So you just got to take this one step at a time, one little small hill. Don't look at the big picture of debt, right? Look at it in the smallest chunks. Look at it in the small pieces. But just because you clicked on this video, I am proud of you, and hopefully that you will get the journey started. If you want to have some one-on-one mentorship, you can join my Credit Ready program. The information for that, for the community and also for the course, is in the description below and also in the pinned comment. I would love to see you in there. Right now, I'm still giving out free consultations. So I can help you with your plan if you need help. It's only $10 a month and you can cancel anytime. But please, please make sure that you do something. Don't just continue to let this go on year after year and there's no progress, because time is truly your greatest asset, and I want you to be able to enjoy your time and not be burdened with debt. All right, I love you guys for real. Thank you so much again for tuning in to Starr Knows Credit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.